Hello everybody, Taodark here. This week I decided I was going to run a attempt at a different Cryx list than my normal P Grim list, running Jarl because with the feat turn he can pop clouds out, which will prevent the alpha strike from armies like Cryx. I also, because in this specific matchup I'm not necessarily facing against a hag, I don't have to worry about Boomhowlers losing their 4+ stuff. And in this game I actually decided I was going to use the new Sorcerer, and since there was no speed reduction spells on the Cryx side, I decided to adjunct him to the champion in case he gets stuck with an armor reduction or anything like that.
Hey everybody, this is Solus. For this game, I've gone with a pretty standard Wraithwitch Denegrha or Epic Denegrha tier list. I've got Denegrha, Nightmare, a Nightwretch, and a Deathripper. I have 2 full units of Bane Knights, along with a minimum unit of Blackbane's Ghost Raiders. I have 2 Pistol Wraiths, and I have 2 Warwitch Sirens, along with a Skarlock and a Machine Wraith that I get free from my tier.
So for my deployment, I won the role to go first, and facing up against E-Deneghra, I didn't want to have a situation where on the top of 2 I was going to be feeded out of advancing into the zone and contesting it, and then allowing her to take an early scenario lead. So I deploy with not knowing what the Cryx army setup is going to be. I'm just going to deploy with the Gregor Boomhowlers over by my objective, and they're basically going to push up, they're going to push into the zone, and they're going to wrap around the objective to prevent any Banes or anything like that getting to the objective to kill the objective. And then I also deploy a bomber on that side, so that way there's some reinforcement to that side. And then I put my warders and my champions on my right side, so warders specifically so that they could potentially reach out and use their reach weapons masters on the enemy objective. And then the champions as a kind of a follow-up to deal with anything that takes out the warders.
So starting my deployment, I want to start with Nightmare fairly central. I want to pretty much drive him directly towards Jarl, as he can hopefully assassinate him fairly easily, assuming I can actually get to him. I balance out both sides with a unit of Bane Knights, as well as putting a node, an arc node on each side, along with a Warwitch Siren so that I can power boost them without having to spend focus on my first turn. And then I have the Machine Wraith on my left side. Since he doesn't have that many magical weapons or magic attacks, I can throw him into. I can throw the Machine Wraith into the zone if I need to. E-Denny centralized, along with the minimum unit of Blackbane's Ghost Raiders.
Trolls turn 1. So Solus just is going to pray Janissa. I kind of expected it. It was either going to be Janissa or Jarl, and since walls are an issue for some Cryx units, I figured Janissa was probably going to fall into place. So I'm basically just going to advance up the Boomhowlers into the zone, knowing full well that I can only get so far, but I have tactical supremacy, which will allow me to get that much closer. 2 Boomhowlers is not enough to hold the zone for contesting, and I need to make sure that I don't get a shutout at the top of 2 from the zone. So tactical supremacy is definitely going to go on them. And then I also probably am going to be putting Quicken on the warders. Since the warders are slow, they're going to benefit from it. Champions are going to move up. I'm going to kind of put them in bricks of 2. And that is to make sure that if there is an opportunity for my opponent to somehow take out champions, he's not going to take out a lot of them. I'm just going to go ahead and activate Jarl and push him forward. He is not going to stay behind the terrain wall because I'm going to use Janissa's wall for him, and then Janissa will actually stay behind the terrain wall. And that was kind of why I deployed him not directly behind the wall so that he could advance up. knowing that I would be putting Janissa's wall over there to give me basically 2 linear walls right next to each other. So I put out Tactical Supremacy, so at the end of my turn I can push forward the Boomhowlers further into the zone, get more of them into the zone. And then the Boomhowlers, I forgot to mention, the Boomhowlers have the 4+ tough on them. Without the hag, that can be a bit of a speed bump for him. So advancing up, and then I also advanced up the bomber. The Impaler is going to kind of hover around the bomber, Slag Troll, and Jarl. And that's just kind of my shooty base. And the warders under Quicken are running, so they're running up into position, putting one of the warders into the zone. Partially because I wanted to see if he wouldn't take an opportunity to put some damage on a warder to give me the Pathfinders, but we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Tactical Supremacy plays up. Advance of the Boomhowlers into the zone. The Boomhowler is actually going to stay where he is behind the objective. I'm going to use the objective to block line of sight to prevent any potential arc node assassinations on him.
So starting off my first turn, I consider feeding first turn just to try and lock him out of the zone, but I didn't think that I would get enough to actually make it worthwhile, so I end up not allocating any focus. I have my first Warwitch Siren walk up a little bit and power boost my arc node. Then I have the arc node run. And then pretty much everything this turn is going to run. I'm going to move up this Pistol Wraith with the extra +2 speed from the tier bonus and try and take down at least one of the Boomhowlers. I was hoping for 2, but with 4 up tough, it's kind of hard to reliably make sure things die. So I have my Machine Wraith just runs up. Since he doesn't have that many magical weapons, I hopefully can actually jam him out of the zone, or at least tie him up a little bit. I have my Pistol Wraith just run. My other Warwitch Siren walks up and power boosts my node. Then I have the node run, just towing the zone. I have Nightmare walk up, and I have the first unit of Bane Knights. They just go ahead and run. I have my second unit of Bane Knights also run. I'm just trying to get as much stuff into the zone as I can. Maybe bait out a couple of vengeance, bait out a vengeance move for one of the units next turn. But right now I'm just concentrating on getting as far forward up the board as I can to hopefully capitalize on my feat whenever I decide to feat. I have Denny just walk over, staying behind cover, and I throw Hellmouth at the Boomhowler. The idea is I want to pull the 2 Boomhowlers in front back a ways, so that I can actually, or so that he can, he's going to have to push them forward again. And I also managed to catch Boomhowler, and if I can manage to kill Boomhowler, or at least have him knocked down. It's going to force him to actually have to think about his order of operations, and he might not actually get anything useful out of him next turn. So I boost damage on Boomhowler, and he manages to make his tough roll, but he's knocked down. I don't boost damage on any of the others, and I managed to kill one more, and have two. At least one of them is knocked down. Now, Boomhowler is alive, which is a problem. So I do something that I feel is correct at this point, but I wouldn't necessarily normally do it unless I have made sure that he couldn't really retaliate against me next turn. So I cast Venom. I managed to hit Boomhowler and corrode him. Boomhowler manages to make his tough check, but he's at least corroded. So next turn, if the corrosion doesn't go away, he's going to take a point of damage, and he's only going to have a 5-up tough, which is not guaranteed at all. So if I can manage to kill Boomhowler, the rest of the Boomhowler unit isn't that much of a problem. And I just have my Blackbanes go ahead and run up. I'm trying to protect Blackbane himself as much as I can, but I can't quite get him behind Nightmare, which wouldn't matter if he's shooting at him anyway, because Nightmare has stealth.
Trolls turn 2. So as I figured, I was going to lose some of the Boomhowlers, but I can honestly say I was not prepared for the arcing of the spell that sucked all of the Boomhowlers together. Ideally, I could have potentially, if I had thought that was coming, I could have used the objective to force Boomhowler to stop instead of getting sucked in, stop on the objective, but did not see that one coming. I replaced Boomhowler on the table, just as a clarification. That's not Boomhowler. Boomhowler is dead. I am just using it to identify who is the new leader of the unit. Since all of the Boomhowlers have a very similar appearance, I wanted to make sure that there was one that was easily identifiable for myself and for my opponent, that who is the new leader of the group. So I'm looking at the table and I see 2 pistol wraiths. Jarl can't go after the one that's on the right-hand side, so I'm going to have to rely on the Sorcerer in order to magic that's one down. The other one, however, is Incorporeal this turn. So with the cluster of the pistol wraith and the Bane Knights, I'm thinking that's probably where most of my bombs are going to go. So the Impaler puts Far Strike on the bomber, and then I'm just kind of checking some things. I'm trying to use the Slag Troll to go after the Arc Node, to try and take out the Arc Node. And I don't put Far Strike on him because I feel like I'm within 8. But we kind of hovered over and it looks kind of odd, so we go for just getting templates with 6-inch and 2-inch, and we come to the conclusion that he is just a hair out. So there goes my hopes of using the Slag Troll increased dice on non-living models to potentially take out that Arc Node. So that Arc Node's going to be an issue. So I move on to the Bomber. Bomber activates, advances, and he gets ready to toss out his 2 bombs. Hopefully I can catch enough where I can knock out some of the support that's hiding within, and potentially even some of the Banes themselves. Even though their armor's pretty high for the splash damage, it's going to be difficult for splash damage to take them out. So I toss the first bomb out. It deviates, and it's going to shift over towards Nightmare, which it can't really hurt, and then some of the Bane thralls, or I'm sorry, the Bane Knights. So boosting some damage, just trying to get some of those Knights out of there. Go for the second attack, and I'm going to target the Pistol Wraith. Get him off the table while he's Incorporeal. So take him out, splashes on, I think it was like 4 of the knights. Rolling through, I get 1 on splash damage on a hot roll. Looking over the table, really just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the Boomhowlers. The loss of Boomhowlers so early in the game really just sucks. What should be my tar pit unit for this zone is now turned into nothing more than just generic trolls with guns, which I mean I'll use to my advantage, but I really would have preferred to have that 4+ tough to jam up that zone, keep me from losing on the scenario side of the game. Two of the Boomhowlers sit and take aim. A couple of them advance, taking pot shots at a knight. I get a little greedy. I try and shoot knights further back than before, so my aimed guys don't actually get anything done because they're too far out. And then the other 3 who moved, since they don't have the aiming bonus, are just going to attempt to take shots. This one goes after a knight and actually manages to do it. And then the others are just going to try and put damage in on the arc node. Really kind of kicking myself right now that I didn't get the Slag Troll in for to take out that arc node, because that's going to be a problem. I know I'm going to get feeded on this turn, or my next coming turn. It's I don't want to say it's necessarily something that will always happen with the E-Deneghra where you get it on turn 2, but it's a really high chance. So I want to try and get some things done. I know I need to remove the Ghost Raider Captain from the group in order to make sure that they don't come back. Far Strike on myself and Magic Bullet. So there's a couple of scenarios that could happen. I could shoot the Jack and it would Magic Bullet to the Captain behind. Or I could try and shoot the Captain and it could Magic Bullet to Denegrha, negating the fact that she's behind a wall. In this situation, I'm looking at the table and it's a nightmare. I know it's a nightmare, but my brain thinks that it's Death Jack. So my first shot misses. And then I buy a second shot and I kill the Captain with the second shot since I have Fire Strike. But because I had missed the first one, the Magic Bullet never happens, and I wasn't going to cast magic, or I'd already shot the Captain. So I'm not sure exactly what I was thinking, honestly. Well, I know what I was thinking. I was thinking it was Death Check and it wasn't an issue, and I would just Magic Bullet out the Captain. Yeah, it's not how it played out. So I decide that I'm going to feed, because again, I know I'm going to get feeded on next turn, and I want to try and prevent the Alpha Strike. So I set down the clouds. One of the Boomhowlers, the far one on the end of the top of the screen, is going to actually be inside the cloud. And that is because I just wasn't going to be able to get it into a position that I wanted, so I figured I would just sacrifice that one Boomhowler. I'm basically just trying to set up a wall of cloud around the front end of the army, so that's going to halt a lot of the progression of the knights from getting into my army. We set down a 3-inch because I had ran out of 4 inches, and then Solus went into his bag and he pulled out a 4-inch and handed it to me. So we went ahead and put that one down. It's not the best of cloud setups, but the only issue that I'm going to have is that 1 or 2 of the Boomhowlers are going to die off. Completely forgetting that far unit of Bane Knights is going to actually get Vengeance, which will allow them to get into the clouds and therefore assault. So a little foreshadowing there. I screwed that one up. But again, just trying to get more warders into the zone. I know that I'm going to get feeded on. I know they're going to be stuck there, so I need to get models into the zone that are going to be able to last this turn and my following turn. clarification on the speed of the knights to figure out if I need to move things around, setting up the champion hero for next charge, and then moving the sorcerer up to try and take the pistol wraith. I've played this guide a couple times. This is the first time on video, and one thing I can definitely tell you is don't rely on him to shoot what he's actually trying to target. His magic skill's too low to hit most things, especially stuff on a hill.
Okay, so going into turn 2, I take my vengeance moves and try and get as many of the knights as I can into the clouds so that they can actually do something. And I take some swings. I manage to miss, and that's pretty much it for vengeance. I kind of feel like this is going to be my feet turn. So I have Denegrha start off and go Incorporeal, mainly just so I can walk up without having to worry about going around things. And as I said before, he doesn't have that many magical weapons, so it's pretty much just Jarl. And if I can jam up Jarl, he's not going to be shooting me, which is, you know, always helpful. So I start off with I have my Warwitch Siren advance and power boost that arc node over there. My other Warwitch Siren advances and does the same with the other arc node. I have my Skarlock advance, and he tries to put Curse of Shadows on the Boomhowlers so I can advance through them, but he misses. Denegrha just walks over, and making sure that I can capitalize on getting as much as I can in my feet, I go ahead and feet. So it pretty much locks everything down as much as I can. So after that, she's pretty much done, and I'm checking line of sight. I have one Blackbane who's actually inside a cloud, so he can actually see out. So I have the Blackbanes go ahead and charge. Now I have to be careful because during my opponent's turn, he managed to kill Blackbane, which was, again, bad positioning on my part, but you know, these things happen. So I have the one Blackbane who can actually do something. He charges Janissa, because if I can manage to kill Janissa, that cuts down a lot of the options for keeping Jarl safe, because he will no longer have a wall. I managed to hit her. I don't manage to kill her, but she is on fire, and you know, fire deaths do tend to kind of happen. So I have my node just walk over and shoot at the objective, trying to take off a couple of points. Oh, and very important, I actually had one of the Blackbanes run around and engage Jarl. So Jarl's not going to be able to make range attacks unless he wants to walk away, or at least range attacks at range as opposed to range attacks in melee, because he does have Gunfighter. unless he wants to walk away and possibly be set on fire. And actually, he can't even walk away this turn because he's in my feet. So I have the Bane Knights walk up because I can't really charge, and they kill a couple of the Boomhowlers. Really just trying to whittle that unit down, because if they stay alive for a while, then they're going to be very, very irritating. And it's, just one less thing that hopefully along the line I won't have to worry about. Nightmare just walks up, hoping that I can actually get him within 10 inches, hopefully Janissa dies from fire and I can switch prey to Jarl. So I have just the other unit of Bane Knights walk up, because they can't really see anything to charge. And I make some attacks, just again trying to whittle down the Boomhowlers as much as I can. And I have the Machine Wraith run up and actually make an attack. Not expecting him to really do anything, however this does turn Incorporeal, which is just another thing to try and block line of sight to Denegrha. And measuring my control area, I walk up with my Pistol Wraith, and I try and shoot at the champion hero. He's in the feet, so he's not going anywhere anyway, but if I can manage to possibly kill him, then it's even better. But I don't manage to kill him, so I just death chill him instead, which doesn't really do much, but more victories.
Troll's turn 3. So as I figured, it was going to get feeded on. I've still got some pretty hefty models in the zone, so I'm not going to be handing up any scenario points in the following turn. But I do need to mitigate what will be several charges that will be coming in next turn, and then just trying to make do with what I have available to me, because there's going to be a whole lot of standing and not doing much. So I'm looking at the table. I'm going to have to use the bomber to kind of clear up some of the Banes, the Impaler also, and then get some work out of the Boomhowler units on the models that are within range that are that are corporeal this turn. And then also, if I can, potentially free up Jarl, because he's currently engaged. Biggest issue I have is that some of the raiders that are currently locking up a lot of my targets are need magic weapons to hit, and I don't have that many. So just kind of getting clarification which models are corporeal and which ones I basically have no hope of doing any damage to. So Runebearer is out. He's just going to advance behind the raiders so he doesn't get charged or swung at next turn. And then he is going to put Magic Bullet on Jarl, just trying to take benefit of the fact of if I can shoot one of these raiders off, potentially hitting the other raider and then taking a shot to clear off more models. Impaler is going to activate. He is going to put Far Strike on the bomber, but I'm going to activate him in such a way, and I kind of redeploy him during his movement, but I'm going to basically use his spear to toss it at the guy who's currently engaging one of my Boomhowlers to free the Boomhowler up. I do manage to hit, and then I remove him so that that Boomhowler is freed. Bomber tossing his first. Just trying to remove some of these Banes, because if I don't, they're going to be charging next turn, and that objective won't be long for the world. Don't have anything else that's really clustered up, so, and since I have Far Strike on myself, I'm going to take a shot on the Skarlock, just to see if I can't prevent some of the spell abilities that are coming out of that side of the table. But it deviates, and it goes off to Toledo, missing him, and the Warwitch too. Jarl's going to activate. He's going to change facing ever so slightly so that he can go after the raider that's next to him. And I rolled double ones, so that magic bullet's not going off. Disappointing, to say the least. Buy an attack. Kill the one guy who's got him engaged. But it's just, it would have been better performed if I would have gotten that shot off and then magic bullet the other raider. But you gotta play the way the dice go. Slag Troll taking out another Thrall. Wanted to go after the Arc Node, but there was going to be issues of line of sight, and there was another issue, so. Take out that one, and there was the aiming shot from the Boomhowler that was freed up, and then I'm just going through activations. Other Boomhowler took out the Machine Wraith since he was Incorporeal. And then my warders are kind of just jammed up. I've got one that can swing against the Arc Node, but all the others are engaged with the Raiders that they can't hurt, so they're kind of just stuck there. And since the champions were outside of the feat, I'm going to use them to block up the knights that are on the bottom side of the screen, and that's just to make sure that they are they don't engage anything. Unfortunately, I completely ignored the fact that the pistol wraith that's on the hill is actually incorporeal, and one of those champions could have easily removed it. So I go for the sorcerer, not giving him the elevation bonus. I step onto the hill, go for the shot, and as I said in the prior turn, don't ever rely on him shooting anything, because it'll miss.
Okay, going into turn 3, I take my vengeance moves, and I'm trying to clear out the objective so I can actually score a point. And I managed to really kill it. So, I'm seeing exactly how far I can go. Denegrha is corporeal this turn and fairly exposed, which I don't necessarily like. Granted, I don't feel that there's a whole lot of angles for him to get to me, but he's going to have to do something, considering that I have prayed him with Nightmare, because Janissa actually did die to fire damage, which, yay, and that's always nice when that happens. So I end up giving 3 focus to Nightmare, because Nightmare can hopefully kill Jarl if I can actually get to him. So that's pretty much the plan for this turn. Try and kill Jarl, and then if I fail that, mostly damage control, or trying to clear out the zone as much as I can. So I have my Warwitch Siren advance. I have my Nightwretch advance, and boost a shot at Jarl, and don't do a lot of damage to him, but at this point every little bit helps. I have my Skarlock advance, and I try and throw a Mark for Death on Jarl just to try and drop his defense down to manageable levels. And actually manages to do it, which is nice. So I have my Blackbanes just move around, trying to get out of the way a little bit, and hit a couple of guys, set some guys on fire, which is always happy when that happens. I have Denegrha go. I try and throw a Hellmouth at the Boomhowler in the zone, so that would pull a Jarl a little bit more forward, but I ended up missing, so Denegrha just walks back behind the wall, where she's hopefully fairly safe. So I have the Node walk up and bite a Warder, and does some damage, but not enough really to kill. So, Nightmare advances. He's speed 8 right now because he's within 10 inches of, he has an 8-inch move because he's within 10 inches of his prey. I hit fairly easily, but then my damage rolls kind of tank, so I don't really do as much as I need to try and force him to make transfers. So I hit him, and again, not as much damage as I would like. I buy 3 additional attacks and don't really do a whole lot. I put some damage on his beasts. I make him actually do transfers. But I think when everything's said and done, I leave him alive on a point or 2. So, back down to plan B, which is try and clear the zone as much as I can and not lose by assassination. I'm 1-up on the scenario right now, so I'm not terribly worried about that. I've jammed him fairly decently, so he can't get to my objective with a whole lot. And Denegrha is sitting behind a wall, defense 20. She is corporeal, but he doesn't have that many things that can actually get to me, so we'll see. I tried just a last-ditch kind of effort to have the Pistol Wraith get up and shoot at to try and kill Jarl. But I'm out of range, so I end up just killing the Sorcerer, who's been trying to kill my Pistol Wraith for like the last 2 turns. So, I charge with the Bane Knights, trying to take out the Bomber, because that's one more long-range thing that if I manage to kill it, I'm not going to have to worry about. And then the rest of the unit more or less just charges at warders and champions that they can. So I roll some decent damage on the bomber, and actually managed to kill it. So that's his only heavy, so I don't really have to worry about that. And I take out a couple of other models. I think I kill like 1 or 2 warders. Again, just trying to whittle his numbers down, trying to chew through the heavy infantry, just so I can keep him out of the zone or locked down.
Troll's turn 4. So, yeah, how the hell did I live through last turn? I don't know, but I'm going to take it. Let's see, fire continues on the champion, takes a little bit of damage off of that, and I'm gonna look at the situation, and I've got a Nightmare standing right in front of me, and that's a problem. I feel like I have enough champions and enough with the fact that they can pass through each other because of the champion hero. I'll be able to advance and clean up a good sizable amount of the right hand side from the Warwitch Siren back towards the center of the circle, as well as put some more heavy infantry into the circle so that I can continue contesting the zone. So really my main focus of this turn is trying to free Jarl up and get rid of the Nightmare. Activating the one Boomhowler because he's there, and he actually does manage to kill a knight, which is cool. Harmonious Exaltation. And this is a scenario in which I have decided that I'm going to use the Impaler to put some damage onto the Nightmare. Now, this was actually a bad decision on my part because I could become, once again, too greedy, and I tried to focus too much of the Impaler's efforts on the Nightmare. What I could have actually done was use the Impaler to toss a spear at the Warwitch Siren, because in the end, at POW 13, he's not going to do too terribly a lot with his Mat 5. So it would have been better to use his spear and take out a Siren or potentially a Skarlock if I needed to try and negate some of the magic potential that comes out of there from either feeding to the Arc Node or just the Skarlock in general. Because I'm going to use the warders to put most of the damage on my Nightmare. The problem is that I got too greedy and I put 3 Fury onto the Impaler, which means I have 0 transfers for the next turn. Had I chosen to throw a spear at the Siren, the Impaler would have been safe from harm in the next turn, and I could have used him as my transfer for any of the damage should the Nightmare survive the warders that will be going after him. So the warders are basically going to position themselves. I've got 3 of them that are in range of going after Nightmare. I advance 1. He takes a free strike from the raider, and he doesn't manage to do any damage, but he does manage to actually cause him to catch on fire. And considering I'm all in on this fight, it was a free strike I was willing to take. The latter one is going to advance up as well. So here we are going through the damage on the Nightmare. And they do damage to him, but not enough to the point where it's causing him to become a wreck. The one warder that wasn't able to get anywhere near Nightmare picks on one of the Cryx Knights, taking him out. And I've kind of just sort of consigned myself to probably getting assassinated next turn. But I'm going to play for the zone to make sure if I do manage to live through next turn, because it hasn't come to my realization yet that I maxed out the Impaler. I'm going to play for the scenario and make sure that I still have a chance in the game. The tactical abilities of the champion hero, allowing them to advance through each other, is really helpful. Got Skaldi in range so that he could turn around and swing on the Siren since he has reach. And then I advance one of the champions over to the Pistol Wraith to not make sure I make the same mistake as last time. He is Incorporeal and he will die this turn. So we go through with my weapons masters, and they're just gonna start carving through some Cryx, giving me a presence on that right hand side. I'm not sure if I necessarily would have been able to survive the next turn, ignoring the fact that I don't have the free strikes. I've still got a lot of Bane Knights in the area. But since dice can swing both ways, it's always best to try and play for a scenario, even if you're expecting an assassination. Because if the assassination fails, I don't want to give the chance for Denegrha to just run into the zone and get up to 3, and then potentially getting up to 5 in her following turn, and I'd lose anyways. So definitely want to put the presence in the scenario.
So going into my turn, I look around at the board and walk up with some vengeance moves. Jarl is alive on a point, and I'm kind of running out of Bane Knights here. So I roll to hit, and don't manage to do a whole lot. Denny's way the hell at the back. I can't allocate anything to Nightmare, so I end up spraying with the Skarlock. I cast Venom and do some try and hit. I'm not entirely worried about hitting my own stuff at this point, but I do manage to hit Jarl, and Jarl is now corroded. So again, if I don't manage to kill him this turn, hopefully corrosion doesn't go out and he fails his tough check next turn. So I have my Bane Knights just advance around. And I start swinging at Jarl. So I hit him, do some damage. And at this point, again, I'm hoping for the assassination, but I'm also playing for the to not necessarily lose on scenario, or to lose control of the scenario, or lose control of the zone. So I have my Blackbane advance, or well, charge anyway. So I charge Jarl and manage to hit him, and that is it for that.